This is Jared with Stampede Blue, and this is your Indianapolis Colts postgame wrap. The Colts won today at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The final score 33-13 because, frankly, they ran the damn ball. 36 carries, 264 yards, two 100-yard rushers. Marlon Mack had, I believe, 14 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Williams, 13 carries, 116 yards, and a 48-yard run among those. Marcus Johnson, 4 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. Eric Ebron, 4 catches for 27 yards on 4 targets. And I'm just saying, I interviewed him this past week. You can see that in a past video. Call me, Colts Media. I'd love to interview anyone that catches passes for the Colts to try to help them focus on catching the ball. But the Colts defense is what we really need to be talking about today. The Colts' rush defense is such a threat to opposing offenses that they forced Nick Foles in his first game back off injury to pass 47 times. He was 33 for 47 for 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and was sacked twice, and made to look like a serviceable quarterback. But the issue is that outside of DJ Chark, the Jacksonville pass attack doesn't have much to offer. Leonard Fournette has 7 catches for 34 yards, so that shows you he's not a great catcher of the football. But really, Colts did about everything you could have asked them to do today, despite throwing an interception on what should have been a pass interference call. Gave up some sacks. That right side of the offensive line looked pretty rough today, but you have to credit the offensive line because of their rushing output, right? The Colts were running the ball so well, they lined up Quentin Nelson and gave him the ball to kind of reward him for basically helping us get all the way there every drive. But the Colts got a big game today out of Kenny Moore. He had a sack. He had hits on the quarterback. He had 8 solo tackles. Rock Ya-Sin played very well despite the injury. Had an interception. Had the passes defended. And then really, it's just one of those games. Marvell Tell, a rookie, stepped up and played well. Darius Leonard, again, all over the field, going to be credited with more assisted tackles and solos today. But really, one of the things I really appreciated watching today was the Colts defense wrap up and tackle and limit yards after the catch or yards after contact today, as opposed to trying to shoulder tackle everybody, which is what I had said in prior videos, is that, hey, if the Colts can wrap up and tackle, they can beat anybody because they're just as fast as everybody defensively. Colts need to get Pierre Desir back, facing the Houston Texans in the house that T.Y. built. May not have T.Y. Paris Campbell, may not have Devin Funchess back, although it'd be nice, but would really like to get Pierre Desir back because he's a really good cover on DeAndre Hopkins, especially if Rocky Ya-Sin's going to miss time. But that opens the door for guys like Marvell Tell to come in, and he showed exactly why he's on this team, because he's a good all-around football player. So, of course, excited to sit here and tell you the Colts are 6-4, 3-0 in their division, and have what appears to be a favorable matchup on Thursday, right? They get to go to Houston, which has generally been good for them. The Houston area loves the Colts as well. So it'd be really interesting. I don't think Houston's nearly as big a threat without Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt, their premier pass rushers, but that's still a decent defense. They can be thrown on. Jacoby showed that in the prior meeting. But really, the Colts are about exactly what I told you they'd be, considering Jacoby Brissett is now 6-2 as a starter behind this offensive line. Speaking of this offensive line, that right side needs to get its act together, right? Like Braden Smith and Galinsky have been the weak points, and if defenses are going to continue to attack the Colts on that side of the ball, it could really get somebody hurt, even though that would be front-side pressure for Jacoby. But that being said, like, game ball goes to the running backs, right? You can split it and give it to Williams, give it to Mack. It doesn't matter. And Vinny was perfect at home. Everything you could ask for, with the exception, of course, of the interception that should have been a pass interference call. The defender definitely grabbed on to Zach Pascal and pulled himself closer to Pascal to make a play on the ball. And then really would like to see, maybe Okereke not look down when the ball is on the ground. and not be looking for a football on that punt return. So really, just about everything that could go right went right. The only injuries don't appear to be season-ending injuries, right? Like Marlon Mack exiting early with a hand, Rock Ya-Sin similarly with a foot injury. So it would be interesting to see how the Colts look going forward. It'd be really nice to get Ty back in the house that Ty built. Of course, it'd be great to get a guy like Funchess rotated in on that offense, and getting Paris Campbell back here in a week or two would be great. So all signs pointing up, right? As long as the Colts are able to continue to win, avoid injury, and are able to improve over time, this is a team that, we're going to be talking about the foundation of this team for the next 10 years. If you look at that young defense, you look at the core of this young offense, I really think that in the right circumstances, if everybody stays healthy, this is a team that could be in play for the next decade, especially with the great coaching of Frank Reich and the great organizational leadership and management out of Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay. So again, this has been Jared with Stampede Blue. This is your Indianapolis Colts post-game wrap. We'll see you after Thursday night's game. Go Colts.